No, is it box when you're home alone and you hear a noise downstairs? That's what that is.
An AR-15.
No, look at it. The sniper rifle.
Oh gosh, that's cool. Yeah, I posted that.
I don't even.
That is.
Well, we're really serious. Even if stuff starts tapering off, if people start
Yeah.
if you guys need to,
She said when things settle, I think that's
but we're really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that's my Instagram profile. I'm always stressed. Oh god.
Oh, Sam, yeah, I didn't need to give you
Sam,
that.
what's up? He just like fell and hugged me and then don't. Like what? Like
and then we did some other ministry.
She was looking at pictures of naked men with machine guns.
It wasn't. I'll show you.
No, it was a sniper.
It wasn't a guy.
I know. It was a guy in boxers.
No, he was in shorts.
Boxers.
What? Oh my gosh.
It's where
What is that?
it's more than just like
How much money did that cost? 7-Eleven. College fund? 7-Eleven.
Nope.
I'm kidding.
Michael.
Michael.
Look at this. Look.
Look at that. Dude, get out of here.
Yeah,
Sam,
totally.
look. Sam. You're home alone in here. No, it's not serious.
Dude,
That's so misleading. You're gonna get naked, man.
He's not naked man.
I know. I want to film it. Why? Because I filmed his spinner while we were at the fair, right?
That's her.
He went to the fair.
No, he didn't. He never did that.
He stuck his pictures up.
You know what? You want me to put this camera?
Yes,
Pretty second still. I see the pattern. Oh, Sam, I kicked you out of the clan. Was that beefy?
Sick really expensive biker jacket. You're going to see my sick really expensive biker jacket. Hey, Wyatt. This is pretty cool. Like a what?
you're here. We'll see you afterwards. You'll come back and then okay. We'll see you soon.
All right.
Oh yeah, it's a star, guys. I get the star.
What do I look like? Hey.
I don't know.
I don't want to cause God into his clothes. His dad.
He's just a yellow fox.
Yes, Wyatt's from the same.
Look at my amazing beard, guys.
His dad committed suicide.
Taking down his third fight.
His dad committed suicide.
I want that star.
Wyatt's
Oh, he has to save a place.
Here tonight. First family here. Molly and Alex.
I'm gonna see something.
probably smart. Because they give you like a daily allotted amount. So you just get like
If I go twice, the zipper gets kinked. Stop the whole thing.
You want me to play more? Okay, here I go. I gotta break these up right now. See, you're talking to yourself? Yes, I talk to myself.
Oh, no.
I don't know why I talk to myself.
Dude, you became me.
Am I what?
A lunar. You know who these guys are? The guy talked to me himself all the time.
Remember put it on the side. Yeah. Whoa, you said not to let anyone touch it. That means you too.
No, I'm the owner. So.
No.
No, no.
Why your mom sort of? Why your mom said what's your dad's Grandma said.
I could have. I would have not.
These are hella big zippers. It's not some zippers, so be careful. But yeah, as long as you're my friend, like, again, don't know
Everything wrong.
You don't know the button.
How did that change it?
Yeah, the zipper only goes up that far.
How are you gonna win anyway? I needed a raise.
This is my dad. It's not like one of those things that I have to
I could have gotten
Here, you know what? I'm taking a picture of this. Okay, go over on that wall.
It just feels really big.
Or this wall.
I'm a tower.
Dude, it's for an adult.
I'm just gonna put my phone in here.
I'm gonna try and Photoshop this. Put like a nice beach background.
Okay, why would you wear I died a little. I keep thinking you're gonna hit my legs. I have shorts on. Hit Noah. Hit Noah. Okay.
I'm legless.
You just sit there. Yeah, bring a GoPro to church at night so I can just like film it. Dude, I hid dogs and shoe inside of that thing. She couldn't find it for like a long. I was kidding, like an hour.
Wait, look at this. You can see dust.
Yeah, I know. It's really dusty.
Wait, how do you hide someone's shoe?
Hey, Scott. Zach. I know. This is last time I was calling Scott, right? Dude, I think this is Noah. Oh, it's Scott.
Yeah, I'm Scott now. Hi, I'm Scott. Oh.
Victory is mine. Dude, is Nate coming tonight?
No, he's going downstairs.
Whoa! Go, try that again.
The new age.
Age of the cool guys.
Oh gosh. You're pulling me.
Hey, watch where you're going.
Hey!
I got this. Hey, hey.
Give it to me, I got it.
No, not it. Not towards the. Not towards the music.
You
but
stabbed me too.
You break the music.
I love how they
Go!
let us abuse all
Oh
this.
gosh.
I love how they let us abuse all this stuff.
Hey. Why did I think you were gonna hit me? You're not. You get a sword. Don't do that. Sword.
No,
Dude.
no, I said it.
Hey. Yeah. You
Go!
There you go.
Watch out! Watch out!
I will. Wait, let's do this down the hall.
he has to go fix radio station for the family. So, yeah.
Do you have any in mind?
I do not.
Yeah, you can play while I'm getting Sean? Sean? I'll announce it. Hey everybody! We do a game, guys. We do a game. Sean's gonna make us a wonderful game. Involving the Death Star and something else.
Let's just say that I was playing.
Saving my spot. Why'd you put it over here? I have a recorder.
How is it right here?
Oh my, wait, Allie, wait, take mine. Oh my God, they just deserve me.
What do you guys know?
Oh, this is the Girl Scout. Yeah. Girl Scout. Right here.
Oh yeah, so there's a free spot.
Oh, Simon, put your phone in the phone bucket. No phone bucket.
Whoa! Oh my, wait. Oh my, you're right there.
Oh, but make sure it's turned off because if it rains, yeah, if it rains, either Daniel.
I became with black hair.
Autumn literally like flies out of me. No, I literally am like, you don't see me ever move.
I like looking at my muscle.
Oh my God, is someone going to go?
Take your muscles are about as big as this one right there.
Oh, okay, free phone.
Well, you're solid. You're giving us free phone.
The first time I was there, I thought you'd like your phone.
Oh, yeah, my name.
Simon, that's the fidget spinners that I used to sell. My sister
feel like going to eating free.
Yeah, and we spray painted it. And then Simon got it for my sister for $5. My solo for 12. 20. My sister got her dump fight. What the heck? Later.
Actually, she told me that.
Oh! That's like going against Molly playing softball. It would be like $2 to $10. Well, and then she's like,
Cellphone reds. Those are really good when they're in skating.
Yeah, they cost me $106.
They're super. Those are both cash. They're amazing. Well, Spitfire's fast as hell.
I think that it was.
When they're in a skateboard, they can spin up to 5 minutes. Like just.
Game.
No, we're not. Nobody's calling you. Jay. You should put Spitfire's fast as hell.
Yeah, everyone, we're gonna play Ryan.
Have you ever played Morg? You ever played Morg? No. Morg is rad.
We didn't tell them what it was, but they know what it is.
Yeah.
There, I turned on the opportunity to do
It's the white. Oh yeah, that works.
They're staring at you.
Don't touch anything else.
That one back. Hey, so who knows how to play Where the Wind Blows? No, not this game. All right, so I need you, buddy, to use a loud voice, and I need you to provide the instructions, what you know. Okay? All right, everyone, listen up. Listen up.
So, someone starts out with a noodle up here, and then... Oh, I forgot. Somebody shouts a name. I forgot the very beginning.
That's a different game.
Wait, what's this game called?
Where the Wind Blows?
Oh, yeah. So you get a circle. I mean, I guess this is fine. And then someone in the middle says their name.
Yes. Hello, my name is Sean.
And we say, hi, Sean. Hi, Sean! And then he says something about himself.
I am not wearing shoes. So if you're not wearing shoes, you need to switch seats to the open seat. So do that now, and then we're gonna do it real. Does everybody understand?
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah, have fun, Andrew.
Okay, Andrew, you can be the it person.
Molly
And
just took hers off.
I will fill a spot.
Alrighty. My name is Andrew.
Hi,
Andrew. And I'm wearing shorts.
Yeah,
There was 3 on the brown one.
Stool. Right there.
Alright, looks like you're
Oh wait, and really quick, you guys, you can't sit like 2 seats down. You have to pick like a new section to sit. So you can't just like be like,
can't sit on the same.
yeah, you can't like stand up, walk, and sit back down on the same couch. I didn't know you were doing Dallas. I didn't say anything to Dallas out solo. Yeah, Dallas.
I did.
Hi, Christian.
Hi.
Hi,
Say
Christian.
your name.
I am Christian.
Hi.
Hi. I am deeply saddened by Harame's death.
What?
Did nobody
I
hear
can't hear
him?
you. You're too quiet.
Did nobody hear him?
Who is he?
Who is? You know who Harambe is?
No. I don't have
Shame on you.
Simon's in high school.
Okay.
I would
Hi,
probably
I'm
be sad.
sorry.
I'm wearing socks.
I never know.
You got it, girl.
Yeah.
You're up.
My name is William,
Hey, William.
and I'm wearing Nikes.
Yeah, you are.
Mom, you're too poor to own my
You gotta find an open spot, but you didn't find it, so now you gotta go again. So what's your middle name? Alright, tell me what your middle name is. Say hi.
Hi, William.
Hi, William.
Hi, William.
Think of something different.
I'm wearing a t-shirt.
I'm invisible.
Oh, okay. Wait, no.
That's not a seat, silly.
That's not a seat. Sit on.
My name is Bryce.
Hey, Bryce.
Ooh, they've taken all the easy ones. I'm wearing these type of shoes.
Slides.
Sandals.
Slides. Those are not sandals. I'm wearing sandals.
I will go for slides. Mandals, but okay.
Mandals, alright.
Pick an arm on it.
Those are sandals.
I'm wearing shoes with no backs. That way nobody can argue about it.
Sandals.
Shoes.
Okay, I'm wearing open-toed shoes.
Oh my gosh, I get to move! Move!
Oh, go, oh, you can't go back. No, you can't go back.
That's a 3-person. That one right there.
Oh, wow.
It's a 3-person. I'm Audrey.
Hi, Audrey. Sorry, I was delayed.
I'm blonde. Seriously?
Get up, Brandon.
Okay, babe. So what's their names?
Mom, you are blonde.
I'm Caitlin.
Hi, Caitlin.
I wasn't sure if I was blonde or not. Just a mix. Okay. You want to say?
You better hurry.
Do it. blue shirt.
Blue on it.
Yeah, white.
I didn't go with blue on it. Not predominantly blue.
Oh, then I could have.
Alright, you're gonna say your name. Say, what's your name?
I'm Giovanni.
Say something about
Oh, stop. Are you really?
Something you like.
Yeah, something you like.
Is it blue?
I don't. What's your favorite kind of pizza?
You have a cool shirt on.
And you're wearing green t-shirt.
Green on your t-shirt. He's wearing green on a t-shirt. You're wearing green. Yeah, I don't care.
I don't know if
He has green on his t-shirt.
Where's it?
I don't have green on my t-shirt. You just keep walking randomly. How did you
Wait, you just that count as a t-shirt.
That's what I said.
Wait,
Yeah.
it's like green on Cody. Wearing green t-shirt.
Wait, what? I forgot about the softball on my t-shirts.
Ollie, hi.
Hey.
My name is Judy. And I like to play pranks on people.
Yeah,
Of course.
Head here.
What happened to your hair?
Jaden, switch spots there. Switch spots.
Oh, well, Jan, it's your turn.
Say something good.
Scream your man scream.
What's your
My name is Paul.
Hi, Jaden.
That is blasphemy!
Jaden.
Blasphemy! Hey, Paul.
What up,
Blasphemy!
Jaden, if you claim that us calling you the wrong name is blasphemy, then that means you're claiming you're God.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You're
Blasphemy.
Dang it! Turn around in a full circle!
We're calling the blasphemer.
100%.
Wait, so are we gonna stone him or me? I mean, what's gonna happen here?
We're not gonna stone either of you.
Pillow you.
Pillow you.
I'm currently holding a coffee. Say that or something. Is that coffee?
Say my name is Logan.
You like Spitfire. What? No one
I
likes
kind of like Spitfire.
You like Spitfire.
I'll move just because.
Not 100.
Okay, where's the other spot? How do
Right
you
there,
see
no,
that?
it is right here.
That is a 2.
They don't
What?
like it.
That is a 2.
Yeah.
Geo, okay. Hi, my name is Jameson.
Hi, Jamie.
Last round.
Oh, last round.
Yeah.
Ooh, say something.
Let me say something profound.
Say something. You're living. You have hair.
I like to play sports games.
I'm going back to my notes so we can start the game. Yeah, I'm like, I'm going back.
Where's Molly?
Fight. Slide in the hole, baby, slide. Oh, you sat on me.
Guess what time it is? Let's move spots.
That's right. That's like the receipt says it's like $427. That's what the receipt says. It says.
Not step on my foot.
That's my own. Simon, stop throwing pillows. Hey, Logan, stop throwing pillows.
Yeah, Simon, be an example.
Yes, I'm right.
Stop
Are we
going
good
to not to
with our spacing here? Or
Simon, we're not in high school.
He's visiting tonight. He's not in
Busy.
Go downstairs, you old person.
What should I do? Okay. Sorry, we're gonna relocate.
Why don't you go down with the high schoolers?
Yeah, can you guys?
Why don't you go with the high schoolers?
It doesn't.
I'm talking about you.
I'm praying about it.
All right. Okay, everybody. All right, everybody.
Things that people who have thought about things.
All right, I'm going to pray, you guys. Lord, thank you for this time. Thank you for everyone new. Thank you for graduation. And I praise you for all the work that you do, God. Thank you that you're always close to us, no matter what the season. I pray that we would recognize that that is a reality, that even though sometimes it doesn't seem that way, and we are so absorbed in the physical realm in this life, Lord, I pray that we would be reaching out for you and asking you to be part of our life. So I pray that you be part of our worship now also, Lord, and that we'd really learn something about you tonight and truly just grow closer to you. So thank you for everyone here. Thank you for this time again. I pray that this worship would be glorifying to you in Jesus' name. Amen. Water you turn into wine.
Water you turn into wine. You open the eyes of the blind. There's no one like you. There's none like you.
Sing into the darkness.
And into the darkness you shine. And out of the ashes we rise. There's no one like you. There's none like you.
Sing our God is greater. Thank you for everyone here. Thank you for all the voices. And I pray that we truly worship you tonight. Thank you for everything you do. Amen.
Wow, thank you, team. That was amazing. Thank you, Jamie, Wyatt, Dallas, Audrey. Yeah, so, we have a lot of new people. I couldn't even begin to introduce them all. I've only learned a few of their names. Does anybody think they know all the new people? That's a seriously hard job. So this is it. I don't do it a lot. I won't probably do it again. I'm going to ask the new people to introduce themselves real quick. So, just go around the circle. It doesn't have to be your first time at junior high, because maybe you were here like last week or something. But like if this is your first year beginning in junior high, go ahead and throw up your hand real quick.
I know this guy right here.
Yeah. All right. So real fast, just put them back up in between each name. So real fast.
That would have been you guys last.
I knew the 7th grade.
Sorry, one more time. Your name?
Nathan.
Nathan. Cool. Who else was new? Right there. What's your name?
Alex.
Alex. Who else is new? Put up your hand. Who we got? Yeah. Eric. Right on. Who else is new? Who we got? Right here. Olivia. Awesome. And? Michaela.
Yes, I am. Call on me.
Okay.
I'm honored.
Yeah, look, that's the same name I thought you had. Pretty sure. We have someone else who's new, but it's a new leader. We have Whitney. Whitney was here last week. But she's on board this week. Very excited about that. Alright, so real fast for all you new people, I've got some announcements to make. First off is this. This Friday, ladies and gentlemen, do not miss it. 7 o'clock, be here. Dinos, Dragons, and Donuts. This week, we're going to be doing Dinos and Donuts. The following week, we'll be doing Dragons and Donuts. And then the 2 weeks after that, we'll be doing all 3.
Donuts.
So, we're ramping up the Dragons. What is that idea? Did I say it?
Dough on the 3rd week. We're going to make dough on the 3rd week, and we're going to have nuts on the 4th week. Then you got Dinos,
We'll just have a deep
dough,
fryer
and
out here for everyone to play with, right? That'll be a great idea. Alright, so it's supposed to play a video. I was just like kind of burning the time, hoping it would play it. We'll go back. We'll start that over.
What? Oh, I guess they don't exist.
He's like, what?
Dinosaurs are used more than just about any other topic to really inundate people with evolutionary thinking.
You would assume that canyon required many years to form, but instead it was formed in a single day.
Whoa, what have we got here? It seems to describe what the Bible is talking about. It talks about a global deluge.
Part of this evolutionary story asserts that dinosaurs evolved into birds.
We are not the product of evolution, and we have not been here for millions of years.
The discovery of soft tissues in dinosaur fossils sparked a revolution in paleontology.
But there are indications in the fossils that this story doesn't add up.
This is a great bit of evidence that points towards a young Earth, that these fossils are not millions of years old, but were buried only a few thousands of years ago.
We see flood sediments pushed way up into these mountains. Tremendous upheaval was going on in the Earth.
This is bigger than an asteroid. There's a consistent pattern of the water moving across continents, 1,000 feet or more above present sea level.
We can use the truth about dinosaurs to show people that the Bible really is true from the very beginning.
What happened to them? Did they slowly go extinct? Or was it something sudden, something global, cataclysmic? Can science answer these questions? Can the Bible unravel this mystery? Uncovering the truth about dinosaurs.
So, what about the lights?
We are going to be starting this study on Friday. It is for junior high age and up. So if you know someone who would be into this, they don't have to be in junior high. They can be older than junior high. That's cool too. Donuts for all. Hopefully we'll have enough on week 1. If we don't, we'll get more for week 2. We'll just cut it off for week 1. But we're going to get at least 4 dozen donuts, so please show up.
Hey Daniel, I have a question.
4 dozen.
Wow.
So if you guys guys don't
For
show up
anybody
in
that
great
can't
enough
do quick
numbers,
math, that'd be 48.
then there'll just be a lot of extra donuts.
Well,
for
I'll
you.
have to
Don't
eat the
invite
rest
people.
then.
Do not invite people.
I'll do you guys
Just
have
show up
paper
and
and
maybe
clean it up.
you'll get
signed up.
Let's take some questions real fast. Jaden, go for it.
Are we going to be talking about how cavemen rode the dinosaurs and dragons?
Yeah. About how cavemen.
What is what the
Rode the dinosaurs and dragons because it's very factual. They went to the I watched a show called Flintstones about it. It taught me many
No, you mean the
facts.
documentary called Flintstones.
Yeah. There is? I can't wait to learn more.
That's a good
There's
one.
cars and everything.
Okay, here we go.
Cars.
Alright guys, close your mouth holes. Listen up. I got things for you. Tomorrow, barbecue graduation party. It don't matter if you're leaving junior high, coming into junior high, staying in junior. If you're in junior high at any point the last few weeks or this week, then there you go. Boom. Graduation party tomorrow at the Owens house in the backyard. Okay. Dinos, Dragons, and Donuts info. If you want to go to that, grab one of these. Okay. These are for tonight. I'll explain those. This one's new. Okay. You want to take note of this one. Ready? Here we go. This is a calendar for the entire rest of summer. It has all of our special events. It has all of our topic nights.
So it's a spoiler?
It is everything coming up this summer. If you just take this one, and you have a computer with internet access or a phone with internet access, you can literally get every single detail that's on the other flyers. This has links to all of the info. So if you take nothing else, grab one of these before you leave tonight, and that way you will know everything coming up. You will know all the topics coming up. You will know all the special events coming up, times, prices, everything. It's all on there. So don't miss that one. These are for tonight. These are not for everyone. These are for people who really, really like to dig into stuff. So what we've got is this one, which is kind of like an answer sheet to science questions I'll get to in tonight's topic night. This one is just kind of like, do you ever get those magazines as a kid called highlights?
Yay!
So imagine if there was like a Christian highlights for about cavemen. This is like what would be in it. This is just informational good stuff about cavemen that I won't have time to cover from this level of detail. We're going to kind of blurb or do like the fast version of some of the stuff that's on here. So if you want even more detail than what we have tonight, grab onto these. I just didn't print off enough for everybody because last time I did, and like 5 of you took some. So we're going to go safe tonight, and you guys can just take it if you want it, okay? So there you go. Smorgasbord. Yes, Jeremiah.
I'm really disappointed that you didn't edit that video so that all the speakers were holding donuts.
You don't know how tempted I am now that you've given me this idea. To go back and insert donuts into all of their hands. The dinosaurs can be like, yes!
Okay, so we expect to see it Friday.
Yes, Friday.
Encore Friday.
Friday we will have dinos eating donuts.
I'm coming.
Hey, guess what? Guess what? Did one of your parents have a data connected cell phone? Go on YouTube while you're in the car. Watch the whole thing. Okay? Yes. And this gets put into live stream. This gets put in digitally. So when we watch the video, you can just watch it with us.
Oh my God!
So feel free, you guys can grab flyers, grab papers, grab all those fun things.
Nobody's taking the scientific.
Hey, if you took one of the blue ones, please actually read it right now. Decide if you even want it, and then put it back if you don't.
Human, subtribe, hominid,
Because if you don't want it, put it back so off mic.
I want a blue one.
It's mostly in Latin. Just a forewarning.
Please, you guys want to hear a fun fact? The paper and the ink that was used, like these aren't for paper airplanes.
Oh, yeah,
Aren't
yeah.
for any of that.
By the way, if you take this, I 100% expect your parents to get to see it before it turns into a paper airplane in its current state. It must be seen by parents in its current state. Otherwise, it is of no use to you because you don't drive cars. All right, yeah, Jaden.
Can I just tell you a fun fact about the Homo erectus?
Sure, go for it.
They were very anorexic.
Really?
Yes.
And how do we know that?
because their name is Homo erectus, it gives you effect immediately in the name. Just like
science. Anorexic.
Like
Do you understand that the spelling of those two words isn't even close?
No, I do not.
Oh, okay. Yeah, not even close. They don't even share a single root that I can think
It's
of.
not like the Netherlands.
So curious how your
Same with the Homo
Neanderthal sounds like Netherlands. They were discovered in France.
What?
No.
Blasphemy.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. So from this point on, if you have something to say, it might be a joke, and that might be funny, but I certainly don't have time for it. So keep it to yourself. Tonight we're going to be talking about cavemen, and this is the primary question I need you guys to think about, to ask, and to try and decide the answer of before the end of tonight. You guys got to have the answer to this, because if you don't have the answer to this, then there is a secondary question. Is the Bible even true? Well, the Bible said there wasn't cavemen. So if you don't know the answer to this question, are cavemen apes or men? If there's somewhere in between, if there's something that isn't quite ape, isn't quite man, then flat out the Bible is wrong. So by the end of tonight, you've got to be able to answer they're either apes or they're men. If there's not a direct answer, they are apes or they are men, then that would mean the Bible's false. Yeah, Jamie.
I just wanted to add one thing in there because people could get really crazy with this. There were people that built their houses into the side of mountains.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
This is not what caveman means.
Exactly.
If I go live in a cave today, does that make me a caveman?
I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
It's not what they mean when they say caveman. All right, so here's the misconception. Let's get this one out of the way. There is no scientist you could go talk to who actually believes in, works on evolution, that would tell you we evolved from gorillas, or we evolved from chimpanzees, or we evolved from bonobos or orangutans or anything like that. They don't believe. No one believes that understands the science behind this stuff that we evolved from modern day apes. That's not something that is believed. If anyone ever told you that, or you got that idea, just hear me out on this. No evolutionary scientist is trying to get you to think that. That's not their mission. Their assertion, their theory that they want you to believe is that we evolved from prehistoric apes that are no longer around on the planet. So extinct species of apes. Does that make sense? Is that misconception clearing out now?
Yeah.
So it's not modern day apes they think we evolved from. They think we evolved from ancient extinct apes. Apes that aren't around anymore. Okay, so that's what their assertion is. And that's where this conversation takes off. We dig up bones from stuff. We look at the bones. We compare it to the bones of stuff that's still alive. And then we have to decide, okay, well, what did I just dig up? Did I dig up something that's still alive, or did I dig up something that's extinct? And obviously I said something wrong there already. I said we dig up bones. We're digging up fossils. Not bones, but sorry. Yes?
Could have someone gone around and painted bones and then buried them for people to find?
Well, okay, so that's actually exactly what I just said wrong. They're not bones. They're fossils of bones. You can't just decide to turn a bone into a fossil. It's not that easy. It's a natural process. This can't take millions of years. It can't. But we'll get into that. We'll get into that. Okay, so that's the first little misconception. We're not talking about modern day apes. Yeah, Audrey. Okay, so that's a great question. We're going to get into that too.
Neanderthals. It says right here.
No. Don't worry about the which kind, because there's a lot of kinds of cavemen. So here's a few facts about cavemen, okay? First off, cavemen performed surgery. We've actually dug up the fossil of a person who was, quote unquote, a caveman, and his arm was missing from the elbow down. But it wasn't just lopped off. It wasn't broken off. It wasn't like the bone got lost after he died. This is literally someone whose arm has been amputated. And the reason we know this is because of how many people nowadays get amputations. This happens all the time to veterans of war, people who are in car accidents, where a limb has to be severed. And we know now that the best way to do this is to cut it in such a way that the skin will regrow over the opening there, and you'll just have a little nub. We know how to do this properly so that we don't nick tendons, because some of the tendons that move your upper arm are anchored down here by your elbow, and if you cut it wrong, you'll detach muscles that are needed to just move that part of your arm around. So they actually did this surgery. A caveman did this to a caveman. And the reason we know it was successful was because the bone shows signs of regrowth since the surgery that shows he was alive for about 5 years after the surgery was performed. So the surgery was completely successful because he didn't die. He lived long enough, the bone kept growing even after his arm was amputated. So there's just, one little fun fact about cavemen.
Wait, hold on.
Another quick fun fact. We gotta move quick because we're gonna get to the big points after all this. This is just to give you an idea about cavemen. Cavemen could build sailing ships. They built ships that had sails. They built ships that went across the sea. They didn't just go down rivers or lakes and stuff. And we actually find the same groups of cavemen not only on different islands, on different continents, but we actually have found remnants of their ship-making tools. It's pretty cool. Another fun fact about cavemen, they wore makeup and they wore jewelry. We've actually found leftover, no, cavemen. Yeah, so this is what someone might say is pre-Egypt, pre-everything. And yeah, they wore jewelry, they wore makeup, but they had to make that makeup. They had to make that jewelry. So this isn't like some person with rocks going, like this is someone who actually sits there and carves with a fine tool that they themselves made. Like that's a high level of skill.
Wait, so they weren't stupid?
They married what we do consider modern day humans. This is one of the strangest finds I can think of. We have found graves where two people are buried together and they are wearing ceremonial, well, the remnants of ceremonial dress. Because, clothes don't fossilize very well. So it's the remnants of ceremonial dress, and one skeleton is that of a caveman, and one skeleton is that of a modern human. That's a little mind-blowing, isn't it? So cavemen married humans. Interesting. So, well, how could they if they're buried together?
Confusing.
So they can't be in different time periods. They were married.
Wait, so
Unless it's a time-traveling... No, that doesn't work.
But what if someone just put the body of a modern-day human into the
Because the fossilization ages, the amount of fossilization that's occurred is the same, which means they were in the ground for the same period of time. And if you don't bury the bones, they don't fossilize, they just decay and turn into dust.
What if you went back in time?
Then you're right, totally, except we don't have time travel, so you're wrong.
If it was in the future, they could have
Best proof of lack of time travel. If there's time travel, everyone in every time period would know it all at once. Think about it long enough, you'll get there. Okay.
Wouldn't that take my whole life?
Cavemen didn't come from Africa! Dun 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 dun! This is another weird one that a lot of people will throw out there that, all life started in Africa. This has been disproven for a long time. We have some people in China that are older than the people we found in Africa. We have people in Israel that outdate everyone, and that's a weird fun fact that no one likes to talk about. Israel has dug up the oldest human remains on the planet in Israel. Go figure. But yeah, we find them in places that aren't Africa, and they're older than the ones we find in Africa. And so saying that Africa was the cradle of life and that's where everything started goes against science. Science basically flat out disproves that. Yeah, Simon.
Is that a human head next to a caveman head?
Caveman. Looks like a monkey. Gotta put the air quotes on there. Yes, it is. Modern versus ancient fossilized remains.
Tiny heads. Wow, we have big heads.
Your head's a lot tinier than mine, isn't it? Does that mean me and you are different species? Your hat would not fit me, you know what I mean? Like, I just have a big stinking head. Like you don't.
Knowing my giant head and how
There's also another fun fact here. I'm older than you. Well, you have a larger head than him. That's not fair. I was pointing at him because he has a small head. Oh, no. Your head's close to my size. It's not quite, but it's getting there. All right, so what else? Cavemen didn't eat paleo diet. Yeah, they were like the first ones to say paleo diet sucks. So the idea is paleo diet is this thing that's based on science, and it's not. It's really not. It's the idea that ancient man ate certain things because that's how he evolved to eat, and so we should eat the things that ancient man ate because that's how our bodies have been evolved to eat which basically says evolution stopped at some point, which is hilarious. But no, the oldest remains we have of caveman teeth show signs of not eating the paleo diet, but having a very diverse diet, including grains and cooked foods, which is against the paleo diet. But essentially the oldest remains of humans we can find, and cavemen, show they both ate the same thing. There's no difference in their diet. No difference. Weird. Do you notice that that's kind of the theme with all these little caveman facts? Because when I say cavemen wore makeup and jewelry, you're like, what? If I said humans wore makeup and wore jewelry, you're like, yeah, Daniel, duh. Every one of these facts was already true about humans. Weird, right? So evidence shows us that ancient humans performed surgery, sailed in boats, made ornate jewelry, had elaborate burial practices, did not come out of Africa, and are now known to have enjoyed a cultivated cuisine of available fruits and grains instead of just meat. So, how many of those do you guys learn in school?
I'm homeschooling.
How many of those do you learn in your homeschool?
Only 2.
Which 2 of those do you learn in school?
I learned about the jewelry, and I think I've learned about the burial stuff.
Oh, cool. Like where humans and cavemen got married?
Jewelry and then
No.
That was part of the burial stuff.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
I knew that they had like jewelry they put on as like a...
Yeah.
So my life science teacher last year lied to me. He said the oldest human remains were found in Africa.
Yeah, it's not true anymore.
You should go back
It's not
to
true
it and
anymore.
you should tell him.
Now, at some point in history, let me say this. If he stopped going to school at a certain point in time, that may actually be what he was taught, and he's believing it because it was known to be true back then. And then discoveries may have been made, and he might not have ever learned the newer discoveries. Does that make sense? So it's not like he lied to you necessarily. He may just have never actually learned that we've discovered more since then.
You're still going to college.
That's a bad teacher.
I don't know your teacher. I'm only guessing. I don't know. Yeah.
I learned about they make jewelry part and
Nice.
It wasn't sailing boats, but it was that they made complex buildings using
Oh, cool.
complex tools.
Yeah. All of these? What school do you go to? Serious? Who else goes to Marsh? Who else learned 5 of those at Marsh?
Didn't you say though, Jaden, in the class that your science teacher's Christian?
Wait, what? No, I have history.
With a
I learned
Christian
about
teacher.
savages.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
we talked about the beginning of man in the beginning of like the school year.
Cool. Yeah.
Hey, same with me.
The burial one? Did they teach you that they married humans? Really? Which school?
But I kind of found that on. I was watching a video and they were talking about the history.
Oh, and
That's
I
really
think I
cool.
learned about the surgery one too.
All right, cool. All right, so this is kind of my question though is if you guys aren't learning everything there is to learn about cavemen, how can you draw a proper conclusion about cavemen? You can't.
You can't.
Does that make sense? Like if you're only gonna get like some of the facts about cavemen, how can you actually? Thank you, cavemen. How can you actually decide what cavemen are? How do you get to make the right call? That's kind of like me asking you to repair a car, except I won't let you learn first how a car works. It's kind of like me asking you to become a dentist, but first you aren't allowed to brush your teeth for a few years. Like you're just withholding random things for no good reason. It doesn't make any sense. So now we have a little bit of a test. Can you guys tell the difference? Can you tell it? I started reading the wrong words. Can you tell the difference between these skulls? Here we go. Ready? Is this a human skull or a caveman skull or an ape skull?
Human. I think it's a human.
Human? Okay. Is this a human skull, a caveman skull, or an ape skull?
It's the exact same skull. It's plastic.
It's just a human skull.
Oh well, no. A lot of our caveman skulls are plaster or plastic because they don't dig up whole, perfect, complete skulls. They're like crumbling away, and they have to like prop up the edges and stuff. It happens with a lot of ancient stuff. Alright, how about this one? Caveman, ape, human. Okay, caveman, ape. Human. How about this one? Caveman, ape, human.
Oh, it's our friend.
Bill.
It is.
Bill
It's
skull.
Okay. How about this one?
He's got a really long.
I think that's a human. I can't
Okay. So let's fly back through these real quick. deal. This is really simplistic, okay? In a human skull, the brain case comes down below where the eyes are. Not the whole brain, just the case for it, okay? Comes down below and just about to the bottom of the eyes. And the jaw, the palate comes right up to it. So if you were able to reach inside your head, which, you know, you can't, and you were able to pinch down at the bottom of your brain case and pinch up inside your mouth, you would almost get your fingers to touch. The spacing there is just enough to let air go through to your nose. It's your sinuses. That's how thick the space is between. That's really not any different on any of the skulls we're going to look at. The difference is where would you have to put your hand to pinch that spot? Obviously, you can't really do it. But because this is a nice little screen, you can. You can go like pinch, and you can decide, okay, here's our middle ground. This is like where the palate would come up to on the inside of the mouth, and this is like where the brain case would come down to, right in here. So this is a human skull, modern day, plain old human. No difference there, okay? Then you've got Neanderthal skull, okay?
That's like
now, let's say we pinch right here below the eye socket. Notice right now, though, that this is a third of the skull down here below the pinch, and this is 2/3 of the skull up here above the pinch. How is that on a human? A third below the pinch, 2/3 above the pinch, okay? Now here we go, this is an ape. And I've resized these photos, they are all about the same size. In truth, ape skulls on most species are not the same size as humans, but it wouldn't make it a fair comparison if it didn't fit on the screen. So now that we do the pinch, see where the eye socket is? You pinch right here at the bottom of the eyes, is where the top of the palate would come to, bottom of the brain case. Where's my hand?
Half.
It ain't at the third, is it?
On the wall. It's like 2/3. It's like almost like
It's a half. It's a flat half right there. Boom, boom. You can count the bricks if you want, but that's half. Okay, go forward. Now we have another skull. You pinch right below the eyes. It's going even further now. This is almost less than half is the brain, and more than half is the jaw. Okay, keep going. Now you have this one. This is one of those skulls they say is an in-between species. It's caveman, it's half man, half ape, somewhere in between. It's the missing link. Okay, but check it out. Where are we pinching?
on the wall.
We got a third, we got 2/3.
Where is it?
Pinching on the wall. Very good, it's on the wall. It's the same ratio as a modern day human. Now what's interesting is that beginning word, Australopithecus, has many endings. And if you grab one of the blue sheets, you could probably say them out loud better than I can. But Cetaba is one of the Australopithekuses. And the problem I have with Australopithecus is that some of them should flat out be called humans. They're so stinking human. And some of them, they're really apish. They're like so far ape it's not even funny. And this is the only reason why you can call an Australopithecus an in-between, is because there isn't just one kind of Australopithecus. They've attached the name to multiple species, some of which are modern day humans who married humans, who wore human clothing and used human tools and lived in human houses and built human boats. And some of them have no dwelling, have no tools, never wore a single thing in their entire lives. They're apes. And they've just called them both Australopithecus. Yes?
I know a difference.
Okay.
Vocabulary.
So like what the living creatures spoke, you mean?
Yeah.
How do you test for the vocabulary of an extinct group of people or animals?
You ask him what his name is.
You go back in time. Hi, what's your name?
Extinct. So their vocabulary is a guess. No one's ever met them. No one's ever met them. You can't speak to them.
Well, who's in the past?
Do you mean this? No. Okay. Not what you meant. Do you mean like the way that they spoke when they were alive? See, but we can't know that. You can tell by the jaw how they spoke?
I did. I just corrected.
No, please. I'm not trying to pick on you. I swear.
Some of the sounds that we made.
Some of the sounds they made. Okay, so this is an interesting theory, and I've heard this theory before. They used to think they knew what a dinosaur sounded like. And they made like synthesized, computerized recreations of how a dinosaur would sound. And then a decade went by, and they were like, oh, that's garbage. They were completely wrong. They knew nothing. They got it all wrong. This is how a dinosaur sounded. And then this year, they said, oh no, all those are garbage. This is how a dinosaur sounded. And the point is this. We know nothing. We think we know how someone sounds based on their jaw. We know nothing. We have no way to test this. We have no way to figure it out. First off, we don't get to see what their tongues look like. We don't get to see what their larynxes look like. that's most of how you speak is your tongue, your lips, your larynx. That's all soft tissue. It doesn't fossilize well. It's gone by the time we dig it up. All we have is a jaw. That doesn't actually tell you that much about how you speak. One of the reasons I can say this with quite a bit of confidence is that when you take an archaeologist who doesn't specialize in skulls of hominids, which is the group they have for apes and humans and all those people, they don't specialize in that, and you show them the skull of a modern day living, well no, they're dead now, but the skull of a person who just died recently, we'll say that, an Aboriginal from Africa, or not Africa, Australia, thank you, and then you show them one of these, they can't tell the difference in the skull, in the jawline. They don't know what the difference is. And so you ask them how this one spoke and how this one spoke, and they say they spoke the same way. A living human speaks the same way as, and then they say they speak like a caveman in these simple noises, and then you go talk to them. That's not how they talk. They talk like you and I, but in a different language. So there's a lot of stuff that they can just say, yes, we're sure about this, we know it, it has to be fact, and then you go and try and do a blind test on it. It doesn't hold water. It doesn't actually work. You guys ever heard of Lucy?
Yes.
Tell me something you know about Lucy. What's something you know about Lucy?
Her name starts with an L.
Good job. That guy's smart. I like it.
Oh, I know.
Yes. Tell me something about why you're smiling. Nope, I shouldn't have called her. Yes.
She's missing an arm.
You guys know what I'm talking about?
Lucy is an ape, right?
Lucy the ape. Okay, good.
Yeah,
There's one
I
thing.
learned
She's
about
an
this in
ape.
my
We've heard
science
that. Jeremiah.
Don't trust her. She will always pull the football away and make you fall on your back.
Anna?
That was expecting.
Fossilized, humanish, like
Sure.
like the first thing that they can contribute that they say, oh, this was not an ape.
Right. It was like the missing link.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what
Yeah.
It was a fossil.
Oh, fossil. Good job. Yes.
Stuck in a glass.
Does anybody have anything to add to this conversation? Yes.
Let me say absolutely everything. There's barely anything.
That's the whole Lucy. That's all of
There's
Lucy.
a lot of Lucy right there. You can definitely tell that.
From that pile, they painted an entire picture of her life. What she ate, what her society was like, you know, the kinds of tools she'd be capable of using, how she spoke.
How did they know that?
Economy.
They created all that from this. There are specialists who went back and looked at Lucy years and years later, and this is on your little sheets that aren't blue, if you want to go through and look at it. They went back and said, you know what, from the remains we have, I don't even think we can definitively say what species she's from. I don't even think we can definitively say what species she's from. But she ended up in recreation form in a bunch of different museums. She has a place in a lot of different textbooks. And all these facts about her are known, and then the world's greatest specialists finally get to look at her and they're like, I don't even know what species she is. We as humans have a tendency to get really excited about things and go a little bit further than our knowledge can actually carry us. Yeah. And so we've ended up in this position where we've said there are cavemen, there are people that were in between apes and humans, and this is what they're like. And so now we dig things up and we try to make them be that thing. We try to make them be cavemen. We try to make them fit what's already in our head. And the less we know about the things we dig up, the easier it is. The less we know about the thing we dig up, the easier it is to say, yeah, it's a caveman. I found a caveman. The truth is, the more we figure out, the more it's either an ape or it's a human. Or it's an ape, or it's a human, or it's an ape, or it's a human. And the more and more we find out, the less room in the middle is left for these in-betweens. There's just a bunch of apes and there's just a bunch of humans. Yeah?
Can it be a humanoid species?
Humanoid species. So give me what would separate someone who's mostly human from being human? Where's the line when you become human? See, that's tricky, isn't it? And if you ask science, they don't even have a firm answer. That's where it gets trickiest. Is what makes a human human? They don't agree. Some scientists have their own opinion, you know, and they just say, this is what I think it is. And that's fine, they're scientists, they should have an opinion. But they don't all have the same opinion. And that's tricky. God actually does have an opinion on this, and he makes it very, very clear. He says that all the animals were his creation, he made them and they were good, but at the end he made humans in his image and gave them a soul, a living soul. And he says that soul is really what separates the animals from the humans. And it doesn't matter to God if you're a lizard or an ape, you're still not a human. Because you don't have a soul if you're a lizard. You don't have a soul if you're an ape. But you have a soul if you're a human. And so God doesn't care if you have a large brow or a small brow. God doesn't care if your arms are a little longer or a little shorter. If you have a soul, you're a human. The problem is, souls don't fossilize. You can't dig those up. That's why we're left trying to figure out all these other clues, like how big is the brain case versus the jawline? How did they live? What kind of tools did they use? We're trying to figure that out because we can't find souls buried in the ground. Yeah, Jamie.
Daniel, is it possible that any of these things, and maybe you can add it to the dinosaur things, donuts with Nephilim? Could these things be Nephilim with these gigantic skulls? These different jaw structures?
I question that because generally, even if the skull's bigger on these, they're still shorter because most apes are shorter anyways.
Yeah.
So probably not. We've actually found huge pockets of people that are like living on an island and they're all inbred. They never left. But generally, they're all shorter.
But
we don't find a lot of like random tall people.
There's lots of giants in Discovery.
I thought we found
Well,
lots of fossilized
Lots of
giants.
giants.
Yeah, I guess we wouldn't find a lot of them then.
So sorry, but that's another discussion.
We'll go there when we go
Okay,
there.
wait though. Wait, now you've piqued my curiosity. And I think I know the answer to this because this has been discussed before, but my brain is such mush because I haven't got out of school yet. That's like the angel human
Supposed crossbreed
thing, right?
Yeah.
It's probably a different time.
Different
Okay,
time.
no,
It's a
okay,
whole
that's
can of
fine.
worms.
I just wanted, I thought that that's what it was. Okay.
All right, sorry. Let's get back to hands real quick because we're almost done here. Yeah.
So if they're saying that, then did cavemen know about God?
It's a really good question, and the answer is yes. We have actually found many instances of cavemen who know about false religions, and in the countries where they don't care to cover that stuff up, we've found instances of cavemen who knew about the one true God. And that's pretty cool. Mostly it comes from Israel because they actually care enough to notice that stuff. But in other countries, we've found plenty of times where we see a caveman who had a different religion. And that makes sense because Judaism and Christianity are not the only religions in the world. And this goes into a further logical piece of sense, which is most people that were cavemen died and were fossilized during the ice age that followed Noah's flood. That's when most of them died and were fossilized. Not all of them. A lot of them were killed and fossilized during the flood. But it differs. And so what we find is that not a lot of them have anything Jewish going on or Christian going on, because Christian came thousands of years later than the Ice Age and the Flood, and Judaism wasn't formalized until after the Ice Age and the Flood anyways. Abraham was after the flood. That's when Judaism got formalized. Everything before that was a word-of-mouth knowledge of God. There wasn't any written word, there wasn't any temples, it was just the family religion. So you're not going to find some of the stuff we would think of that would say, oh look, they were a Jew, or oh look, they knew about God. Because there wasn't any of the formal stuff up to that point. There was no, Jewish star. That didn't exist yet. So you're not going to find them with some Jewish star necklace on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff we would associate with being definitely from Judaism just didn't exist. That came later in history. Not as many people died and were fossilized after there wasn't all that crazy water work and ice work going on. That's usually what it takes to fossilize people, is large movements of water or earth. And that's just not something that happens all the time. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I was pointing at Isaiah.
Isaiah now?
Sure.
First it's Isaac, then it's Indy, then it's Isaiah.
I'll just make up names.
Oh, somebody's calling! Somebody's calling!
Is it time? No, it's like 20
No,
minutes
but
early.
answer it, or let me
There's like
answer it.
80 phones in here.
Can I answer it and say
It's
is my
probably my
burger
phone.
order
Sorry,
ready
I
for
love
pickup?
it. Yes, I like it.
It's the very bottom
because
phone.
we answer it in
That's
embarrassment.
mine, you better put it back.
Say it's like
At the
Bill.
very bottom.
Hello?
I want my free stuff.
Hello?
Is it Isaac?
Hello.
Hi, this is Daniel.
And group.
And the entire junior high group. Sorry.
Hey, Mom.
This is how we answer phones when we're entering church.
Hey, Mom.
How are you?
Do you have a message for your son?
Wait, we sent her announce it.
What's up?
Love you.
Oh, she loves you.
Hold it.
All right, cool, bye. I honestly think she was very confused.
I don't think she could understand anything that was going on.
There was just like cow noises happening. So this is This is my proposed. After a lot of research, after digging through article after article, this is my proposed chart of how things should actually be. Over here we have the current spread of all the ridiculous number of names that have been assigned to different fossilized remains of humans, cavemen, and apes. And what I'm proposing is that they actually do fit into some rather small divisions. That most of them are actually either human or one of these three kinds of extinct apes. And this is what's so weird, is that some of these Australopithecus are very similar to each other, and they've some reason kept them separate and named them different things. And some of these other Australopithecus and other species are all crazy, ridiculous similar, and they're still calling them all different things. I mean, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and a possible 9th species they're saying are all separate, but you compare the remains, they're nearly identical. They're buried in almost the exact same way, the same depth, same layers. I mean, this stuff, it's weird that they're getting ignored, but what it comes down to is this. Humans are the ones digging them up. Humans like to name stuff after themselves, and they like to name stuff after their wives, and they like to name stuff in such a way that they get credit for it. So if you say, look, I dug up the same thing as that guy down the road, you've got to call it what he called it. But if you say, look, mine's different, notice the way the nose has this tiny fleck on it. It's a new species. I found a new species! And so they just keep naming it a new thing, a new thing, a new thing. It's really quite sad.
I'd like to This know one what guy's Mr. Robustus looked like. 1 inch or
Look it up, I don't know.
I
I don't have one of them. Well, this is what it comes down to. If you look at all the Paranthropus, they don't look human at all. If you look at all the Australopithecus in this side of the chart, they don't look human at all. There's some up here, but mostly just, no wait, it's just Australopithecus sediba. If you look at Australopithecus sediba, it doesn't look ape-like. I mean, we found some other Australopithecus sediba since the original that were like in some very human circumstances, like bottom of a well, child got stuck there. We dug it up at the bottom of a well. Circumstances. Come to the dino study? I got one better than that, and it's real. It's not even a joke. It's like the best joke ever. We found these building structures and there's no tools inside. They must have built them without tools.
Build them with their heads.
Yeah. They went like this.
They use your teeth.
Guys, if I go to your house, am I going to find all the tools that you use to build your house?
Nope.
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
Actually,
You're going to find a screwdriver.
Alright, so we'll do a few more questions, but I just want to boil it down to this, guys. We don't have any credible, reliable, bulletproof evidence that any of the species they've dug up are in-betweens. We don't have any credible, reliable, bulletproof evidence that any of these are in-betweens. The only evidence that's bulletproof, that you can't explain away, that you can't deny, is that it was an ape or it was a human. All the evidence to suggest they're somewhere in between is subjective. It's opinion. It's interpretation. And so when someone talks about cavemen, just realize in your head, it's either an ape or it's a human. It's not in between until they can actually show us something that proves it was in between. When you actually take a caveman and marry them to a human, that says a lot.
Wait,
That says a lot. That means that quote-unquote caveman was not viewed as a caveman in that society at that point in time. Think about that for a second. At that point in history, the human who married them thought of them as human. So why would we, thousands of years later, say, wow, they got a big forehead, so they're probably not human?
Or they've got a big nose.
If you said that now about a living person, you'd get slapped. Like, that's not cool. You don't say that about people. Just because they're dead doesn't mean we should insult them. But what I'm getting at is this. You go through the Bible, and the Bible gives you an interesting little factoid that the first guy who split off from the first family went and built houses, buildings. No, why do you do this? Stop that. He went and built buildings. He went and built a city, it says. The first guy who split off from the first family.
Wait, why would you build a city if it's just himself?
That's a really great question. Is he an idiot?
Well,
You already answered your question. Just think about it for a
kind
second.
of mentally disturbed because I mean, if you live in one house and then the next day you live in a different house and then the day after.
All right.
He was thinking about
Who can think through what he just said?
I can't.
Tell me the real answer here.
He was building the city for all the other people all the children, the grandchildren, the grandchildren.
So you're saying that other people existed?
No.
What?
You're not wrong. You were right. Go back.
Other people existed?
Other people existed.
No.
Yes.
No way. It was just me.
So then he's an idiot.
Yes.
Either he's an idiot or other people existed. No one's gonna go build a city for no one.
He's an idiot. He's mentally disturbed.
Okay.
You call it mentally disturbed?
He's mentally able to design an entire city, but yeah, he's an idiot.
He's neurotic.
He's a psychopath.
You sure he wasn't a meth?
Psychopath.
You
Psychopath. There's nobody else around you.
Well, you said psychopath, not sociopath.
No, don't go there. Let me lay this out plainly for you guys.
Rabbit hole back?
Bring it on back, guys. You live in a cave, that doesn't make you a caveman.
Yes, it does.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Okay, if you're a man, then
The term caveman was not invented because they lived in caves. The idea was they weren't capable of doing anything but living in caves. So when I go live in a cave, that doesn't mean I'm only capable of living in a cave. It means I chose to live in a cave. When they say caveman, they're saying you must live in a cave because you can't build a house. What I'm saying is the Bible directly contradicts that and says the first guy to split off from his family went and built buildings. So the only time period where someone was only able to live in a cave would have been that guy's parents, Adam and Eve. That's literally the only room, the only wiggle room the Bible gives. You gotta do the thing with the raising of the hand. Yeah, there you go. The only wiggle, no, I didn't call you. The only wiggle room the Bible gives you to say, yes, there are cavemen, people who had no capability of building a building, would be Adam and Eve. Adam might even believe you. I mean, they did live with God in a garden where they mentioned no buildings their entire lives up until they left. So maybe they didn't know how to build buildings. But their son, their oldest son, knew how to build buildings.
Who killed his brother?
Well, I didn't say he was a nice person, just a smart person.
You're right, Simon. He was a psychopath.
I think that's why he was going there, trying to blend the crazy with what he knew.
Yeah, Mom's tired.
Yeah, that's okay. I didn't mention his name, so. All right. Yes.
So Flintstones lied to me. They live in houses, but not caves, and they're cavemen.
And they have cars.
Dude,
But Flintstones did live in houses.
If you believe the Flintstones, you
And he said that
deserve to be
cavemen
lied to.
knew how to
It's an earlier joke he's building on. We call it Flintstones the documentary.
So it's very factual, not lying.
We were just he was branching back to it. All right, we're gonna wrap up here.
Where's the person that made
This is the deal. Most of the evidence that they'll offer you that a caveman was less than human is just opinion. It's not substantiated by evidence. It's not held up by evidence. So yeah, you can read a book, you can go to a museum, you can read the little plaques, and there's plenty of things that they say that they know about cavemen. But if you actually dig past that and you try and figure out what the evidence is, most of the time you're going to find they just trumped it up. I keep using the word Trump and people don't know what I talk about anymore. It's like that word has lost all meaning.
Well, it's taking on a whole new
I know!
meaning.
It's my fault for not having a wider vocabulary.
And FYI, just word of advice, don't say Trump and then touch your hair.
It's probably subconsciously linked at this point.
I think that it was, because you totally like...
No, it was meant to be this. It was
Did your
yeah. There are so many uses of the word. One of them is a card game.
Consider the fact that maybe before the flood, before everything else, there might have been other races of people. Like there's African, there's like Chinese or Japanese, there's American, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And what if there was other like kinds of people?
I'm not going to say you're wrong at all. I think you're absolutely right. Here's some things to consider, how it locks in with the Bible. Because you've got some really strong feet to stand on if you stand on the Bible. And then you can start making assumptions from there. So think about what the Bible says. The Bible says that from Adam and Eve to the time of the flood was about 1,500 years. Okay, so about 1,500 years. It also says that the people who were alive from Adam's time till Noah's time, some of them lived to 1,000-ish, 900 something years old. That's a long time to live. It also suggests from the facts that we read that they were not old and decrepit at age 100. Okay, they were not old and decrepit at age 200. They're not old and decrepit at age 300. Noah built the ark after he was 500 years old. You don't move around heavy timbers and put in giant nails when you're over 500 years old if you're this wrinkly old shrivelly guy. You've got to actually have some strength in you.
Respect the old.
Okay, now also look at
Respect your elders.
look at the age difference between Noah and his 3 sons that went on the ark with him. That age difference is huge, which means he was old when he had them. What you can take away from all this is that people not only lived a really long time and stayed younger longer, but they had kids through those later years that are over 100, which means the population growth from Adam and Eve until the flood would not be at the rate we're used to. It would not, logically. I mean, if the Bible's true, then there must have been more people being born each year than we would have now if we started over with 2 people. Because now you can only have babies until you're like 50, maybe 60 if you're like super healthy. Like, that's it. No, there's records. There's records.
You'll be an 80-year-old man.
Yeah, even nowadays. You have to be really healthy. It's ridiculous.
I think God was really wise.
So,
in that.
no, I'm serious. But they're record breakers. I'm not saying this is normal. I'm saying, like, that's the limit. But in the Bible, even after the flood, we have people like Sarah who was able to have a kid in her 90s. So that's obviously a miracle, but that's post-flood. Pre-flood, all bets are off. So this is the point. If we can have all the civilizations we have now, just from localized intermarrying, it's basically, it's human-led breeding. That's what it is. We're just picking and choosing who we marry. If we can have that since the flood, I don't see why they wouldn't have had that before the flood. I don't think there would be any rules on that happening. It would just happen naturally. So yeah, totally. This is actually where I think most quote-unquote cavemen came from. Why they look so different from us. Well, when you look at where they are, each of these types of cavemen have a region. They have a part of the world where you will find that type of caveman, and you won't find them anywhere else. And so they spread out just like our people groups do now. This is our favorite place, we're going to stay here. This is our favorite place, we're going to stay here. And now we've got trains, planes, and automobiles, and the rules are kind of off. And you can go to most countries and find people that look like, somewhere else. Does that make sense? But before there was trains, planes, and automobiles, and you were just like kind of moving slow, people groups stuck together a lot closer. They didn't move around as much. And so you get really extreme variants of humanity. Ones where the small differences start to become much, much bigger. And that's one of the reasons why you can take a skull from someone who's been intermarrying within a tribe in Australia, and you can say, wow, that skull is way different from someone from Europe, from someone from South America. There's just like no similarities anymore because they just kept marrying people within the same family for hundreds of years. And so you get crazy differences. So yeah, totally. I think that's where most of the groups of cavemen actually came from. It's just either pre-flood, not species, it's the wrong word, races. Pre-flood races. And then some of them were probably post-flood races too. Maybe not quite as many, but some of them, yeah. So really, cavemen? Races of humanity, ones that we don't have anymore, races that died out. That's most of it. Not really any in-betweens, just humans we don't have anyone who looks like anymore. Christian.
He has a question.
Oh, well, I was going to call on him, but then I called on you because I called on him last time.
Okay. Neanderthals on the brow.
Yeah.
A person's brow continues to grow through their entire life. So the brow would explain the very long lifespans.
That's not a bad point, actually. Yeah, they could have just been stupid old.
Dang. Which they were.
No, not hair, bone. The brow bone. That's a good joke. It's a good joke. They should have just shaved it. All right. Let's go ahead and wrap it up. Why do we bring this up? Why is this a topic night? Well, because plainly, guys, there is stuff you can go learn in a science class in most schools, stuff you can go learn in a history class in most schools that will flat out contradict what the Bible says. That's just the truth. A lot of schools are teaching stuff that contradicts the Bible, and it doesn't really matter what class you get into. A lot of stuff goes against what the Bible says. And the more we dig into science, the more we dig into archaeology, the more we find the Bible is proven true. Not proven wrong, proven true. And so we need to actually figure out for ourselves, you need to figure out for yourselves who you're going to trust. Because I see year after year after year the same thing repeated. You guys come to church, you hang out, you listen, you learn, you graduate from high school, and you wave bye-bye to the church. And we never see you again. Why does this happen?
Wait, nobody goes to the adult service?
No.
Wait, like.
Not every single person, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, but like.
But a large number. Most of the adults, I kid you not, in our church, if you went and talked to them, you'd get the same story out of them. They left around high school, college age, and later in life they figured out God was real for the second time and made their way back to church. But most of them left around high school or college. Why? Because they were only coming to church in junior high, they were only coming to church in high school because their parents came to church. And they never really squared this stuff they learned in school with the stuff they heard from the Bible. They never figure out why the two are disagreeing. And so they don't really fully think the Bible can be true. Well, like, yeah, maybe God's real, but, you know, everything did evolve. Didn't they prove that? Well, yeah, I mean, like, maybe Jesus really existed, but obviously
he wasn't the Son of God.
He wasn't the Son of God. I mean, that was like supernatural. That's like magic. That's like Santa Claus. I can't believe in that.
What? Santa Claus knows from parents.
So the point is, when you guys walk into
No,
adulthood,
my day.
Oh, subtle.
when you guys walk into adulthood, do you take your faith with you? Do you take your Christianity with you? Do you have reason to believe the Bible is absolutely true and you can back it up with science?
Yes.
Or not? Because if you don't feel like you can back up the Bible with science, and you sit in a classroom 5 days a week where you're told that science is provable, then at some point your brain's going to click and go, wait, does that mean the Bible can't be proven? And at that point, you'll just stop going. You'll stop coming to church, you'll stop praying, you'll stop reading your Bible, you're done. This is why I bring this stuff up. Because when you do look into the science and you strip off all the opinions, science actually proves the Bible. It's cool. But you actually have to do the homework. Sometimes the homework is difficult. I try to make it easy for you guys. I put all the homework on a nice little takeaway sheet so you can just have it. It's yours. That's sad. We should close. Before we close, if you guys have more questions about this stuff, don't just bail. Talk to me. If you got to bail, scribble it on a note, stick it in our question box. If you want a direct answer, just stick your name on it. I'll find you and answer your question personally. If you want to stay anonymous, that's cool. Don't have to put your name. But
Then how are you gonna
I
answer it?
don't. Well, I'll answer it to the group. I'll just assume you're here one week, and hopefully you are.
It's like some super private question.
Then you should put your
Then
name.
you put your name on it so it can be
Or we'll
live.
do it next year and we'll make it like a guy-girl night
Tell
where we all
them
go to
they
small
can't put
groups or
their
something.
I'm gonna
We do different things for different questions. We'll figure it
Tell
out.
them they can't put their name. That sounds funny.
Point is, I don't want you guys to be left with questions unanswered. I want you to be able to ask your questions. We are out of time, so I can't just sit here with you guys and keep answering hands. But I don't want you to just be left with questions. So wait till we're done. Come find me. Drop it in the box. I'll find you later. Do something, though. Don't just sit on your question and make it eat at your brain. It's terrible. Anyways, love you guys. We're going to pray. And then I have one more announcement. So after we're done praying, don't just leave. Stay in your seats for a few more seconds. God, we know your Bible's full of truth. You've proven it to us over and over. And we ask, Lord, that you would help us to see what truth there is in science and how much of it's just opinions. How much of it can't be proven. Help us, Lord, to see how science matches up with your word. Lord, we know that if you're real, then everything you've said is true. Help us to check that. Help us to dig into your word and see how much you've actually said. Lord, may we stand on our own faith in you and not rely on the faith of our parents or the faith of our grandparents or someone else's faith in you. May we have our own relationship with you. So that as we continue to grow, we're not stuck one day wondering why we're even going to church. Help us, Lord, to build our faith now, to figure things out now, to not wait till sometime later. Help us, Lord, to really dig in and invest in this relationship with you and build up facts around it that show us what we're doing is the right thing. Lord, if there's anyone here tonight that's doubting, I just ask that you would reveal yourself to them. Show them something about you that they can't let go of, they can't deny. If there's someone here tonight, Lord, that never had a faith in you, I just ask that you would give them something tonight, a spark of hope, a belief, something to latch onto. Lord, because we know everyone needs you and they need your forgiveness. With our eyes still closed, with our heads still bowed, I'm going to make an offer to everyone in this room, and I just ask that you would respect that. Keep your eyes closed, keep your heads bowed. The offer is this, and we make it every week, but it doesn't matter if you've heard it 1,000 times. What matters is whether or not you respond to it. The offer is this. Jesus said in the Bible that everyone is a sinner who's imperfect, and that without forgiveness, they're going to have to suffer punishment one day. He doesn't like that, though. And so he came here to this earth as a human, even though he was God. And he died a sinner's death so that he could take on a punishment that you deserve, that I deserve. He says that if you put your faith in him, you can take that sacrifice he made and it will be applied to your account. And that God can wipe away all your sins and with it, all the punishment you deserve. It's an amazing thing. He says he wants to do this for free. All you need to do is put your faith in him. Just believe in what he did. He died for you, and 3 days later he came back to life. It's an amazing thing. If you want to take a hold of that forgiveness, you want to say, God, forgive me. If you want to say, I want to become part of God's family, I want to be a child of God, I want to have his forgiveness, I want to have the eternal life that he promises, so that when this life ends, I go right into the next that never ends. If you want all of these things, he says, put your faith in him, ask for forgiveness, and you will be forgiven. So I just want to put that out there tonight. If you want to do that, I'll just ask you to raise up your hand. The hand doesn't change a darn thing. It's all about the faith you have in him. The hand's just so I can see that you want to do this. So everyone's got their eyes closed, everyone's got their heads bowed, no one's going to be peeking at you. It's not an important thing that other people see or don't see this. What's important is between you and God, do you put your faith in him? Do you trust in Jesus? So if you want to do that, just put up a hand. I see that hand. You can put it down. I see that hand. You can put that one down. Anyone else tonight? All right, well, if you put up that hand, or maybe too shy, you couldn't put up a hand, you just couldn't bring yourself to do it, that's okay. God sees your heart. I may not know, but he totally does. So we're just going to pray a prayer, and for you, put up your hand. Just repeat this in your heart. There's no magic words here. It's not a special set of phrases. It's just you talking to God, and if your faith is real, he knows it. All right, so repeat after me. Dear Jesus, thank you for dying for me, for taking my place. Thank you for rising again from the dead. I believe you did those things so that you could save me. Please forgive me. Take away everything that I've ever done wrong and everything I ever will do wrong. Make me clean. Make me pure. And fill me with your Holy Spirit. Use it to guide me, to show me how to live for you. And when I die, take me into your kingdom so I can live with you in heaven forever. I ask all these things in your name, Jesus. Amen. Right on. I said before, don't get up after we're done praying. So, if you guys prayed that prayer for the first time tonight, or maybe you prayed it a second time and you're curious about how many times you have to pray it to mean it, talk to me, okay? If you have a working relationship with one of my leaders, you can talk to them. It doesn't have to be me. You can pick the leader you're comfiest with, okay? Totally cool.
Comfy.
Whoever you're okay talking to. But I don't want you guys to bail out of here. If you prayed that prayer, you need to know some things. You need to be able to ask some of your questions and just kind of figure out, what does this mean now? Well, short answer, if you prayed that and you meant it and there was faith in your heart, A, you're a Christian, B, you're forgiven, and C, you're going to heaven. And the cool thing is, those three can't change anymore. It's pretty awesome. So that is exciting. The Bible also says, maybe as a D, that the angels are now throwing a party in heaven on your behalf. So that's pretty cool too. They get excited when someone secures their place in heaven. I keep grabbing this thinking there'll be something in it next time. Still empty. Okay. What was the thing I had you guys all stay seated for? Graduation party is tomorrow. It's a barbecue. It's at the Owens house. I checked the forecast. It shouldn't be raining by then. It should have already stopped by then. So come on over to their house. It's going to be 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Pretty much all you guys should be done with school as of today. Yeah?
Tomorrow.
As of tomorrow?
I graduate 8th grade tomorrow. Minimum day, 12 to 6 we get out, but our school's in Paradise.
Oh, okay. What? Oh, what are you talking about? Alright. Dinos, Dragons, and Donuts Friday. Grab flyers.
Dinos, Dragons, and more
We just want you guys to have free donuts. We want you to eat donuts because they're delicious. Where's the phone bucket?
I have it.
Oh, dude.
That's Alex's.
The last one I win. I can keep slowly tumbling. Oh, you don't have to. If it's in there, it's in there. You probably will lose, but that's okay. So yeah, just keep moving it so they spill somewhere else so you can see who hits last. Green! Who's green?
I was the second one.
Olivia, what?
I was the second one.
Good job. You get $1 item from the snack bar.
Oh my gosh, Cleveland is going to act.
Oh! Oh, I remember now! Everyone quiet!
Stop!
Shh! I totally remember now. Emily was so good to remind me of other things, but it made me think that there wasn't another thing. Handprints on the wall.
Oh, yeah.
Shh. If you are new, put your handprint on the wall. If you are not new, but you never put your handprint on the wall before, put your handprint on the wall. So I'm going to grab out the paints, line up at the kitchen counter if you would like to put your handprint on the wall. Yeah.
Put it in my mind, Alex.
And so that could have actually been like, I mean, did I use being
Oh, you were that great thing?
I did.
Oh, is it done now?
Yeah. We only have like 5.
Christian, put your hand. made it.
Liberties.
They're not watching. There's one down here. The one left, and this is still going.
I think it was like they wanted to see the handprints and forgot they were playing.
Ah.
Or Janie was playing and he thought it was coming back sooner. Or is coming back.
I hope not. I turned it off, and then I feel bad.
Alright, I you very badly?
We can do that.
I love you.
Wow, everyone mailed out really fast.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we tried really hard to end on time and then we did handprints and now we're all late.